included things like renting Weinstein an apartment and filling it with lingerie and procuring erectile dysfunction injections for the now disgraced producer. In another expose about Weinstein published by the New York Times, Sandeep, Rachel, Lauren O'Connor, and Michelle Franken and other employees shared some of their lurid details about working with him, but had to either inject him and treat him for erectile dysfunction. Rahel told the Times she had to, at times, deliver the drugs to the producer at his hotel room before he had meetings with women. She said she had to keep the drugs at her desk and transfer them into a brown paper bag, bringing them to Weinstein when he needed them. Rahul said that she had to rent an apartment for Weinstein and be sure it was stocked with things like flowers, bathrobes, and lingerie. Both Rahul and fellow former employees Lauren O'Connell said that they took Weinstein to sex addiction therapy sessions in 2015, but the therapy seemingly had little impact. As the Times reported, Weinstein allegedly tried to get two women to massage him in his hotel room at the Toronto International Film Festival 2 years later in September, and just weeks before a report was published by the New York Times in October that revealed Weinstein had paid settlements to women who claimed he was sexually inappropriate with them. Days later, the New Yorker released a report that included accounts from women who claimed Weinstein raped them. More stories leaking out about Weinstein and also Matt Lauer. It's been, what's it now, a little over a week that Matt Lauer was gone from the Today Show. There's still people in shock from Matt Lauer's, because he's been there forever, for a long 20 years. That's a long, it's 2 decades. It's a long time. It's shock and awe. Just like, how could he have hid that stuff? And how could the executives hide this? They were fully aware of it. They knew they covered for these people just like all the folks around Weinstein. They knew it. Because it was money, big money, hid the stuff and paid people off. Money talks, as they say, BS walks. But and now, in the climate that we're at right now, people might want compensation. So how much money they'll actually get out of Lauer? He's asking for all kinds of money from NBC. Maybe it's that Matt Lauer will actually have to pay some money up for his accusers. Because a lot of these women ended up leaving the television business altogether because of shame. Leaving because of how inappropriate things were. Not to blame them, but, it's sad, again, that people looked up to these folks on TV and built them up. Remember, they're on television. For one, they're putting on a TV show for you. It's like that there's DJs. They put on a show for you. It's just a show. Just a show. Just like politicians. Just a show. Just a show. But they have personal lives. They have personal demons, things that they wrestle with. So don't get too comfortable with people on TV. It cracks me up when, a celebrity will die. There's a series that's called The Fast and the Furious. Guess one of the franchise names ended up dying. One of the big names. People mourned his death as if it was one of their own. But they had no idea who this individual really was. Had no idea who they really were in real life. I saw this really, speaking of celebrities, having no idea of who they really are. Jim Carrey apparently doesn't know who he is. Andy Kaufman, Man on the Moon, he did the Andy Kaufman movie, and apparently since that movie, he never came back. Yeah, this documentary you can see on Jim Carrey's on Netflix. And it's just, he is nuttier than a fruitcake. You got to appreciate, I guess, what actors do. But he's gone. I mean, he admits it. You don't know who he is. He didn't return. He said it was, and of all the characters that Jim Carrey played, in his own words, that Andy Kaufman was the most liberating character they had ever done to date, because it was freeing for him. He could be free. Andy Kaufman obviously was, obnoxious to a lot of different people, but cutting edge still, because he was just who he wanted to be, who he was, and he didn't apologize to anybody. And he could care. More people hated him, and now the people that hate him call him genius. And he enjoyed playing him immensely, and so much he wanted to be him. And he said, really, he never came back since, and he misses Andy tremendously. Apparently, they were friends and admired one another until his untimely death. Just a shame to see what happens. But the people that really know you are your lover, your wife, your closest friends. You got to remember, these people can fall just like the rest of us. I think it hits harder because of tabloids, and with the internet. It's just so fast. But I pray for people like Matt Lauer that have disgraced his family. It's sad for his kids and for his wife. I feel sorry for her. I mean, it's not like she did not know that he was up to this. Apparently, she tried to divorce him back in 2006, but it's just the public ridicule. And if she left the country, I don't blame her. It's just the ridicule in itself. It's just alarming to think that you have a pedophile, or not a pedophile, he wasn't doing it with children, excuse me, but with women, pushing himself on them and being as lewd and disrespectful to them and against their wills, pinching Katie Couric's rear end all the time. I mean, Katie hated working with Matt Lauer. He just, made outlandish comments to Meredith and so many of the other personalities. They all knew he was a whoremonger. I mean, it's all it was. He could not keep his winky to himself. It's like the game he played. What did they say at NBC? Hide the winky. And he buzzed him in. And then, of course, if he wanted to get in, that's right, he had a buzzer. I mean, who has a buzzer? The sex buzzer. And somebody could be making some money off that one. And only Matt Lauer. 30 Rock knew. Come on. NBC knew at Rockefeller Center. They knew that this guy was up to no good. Come on. Nobody knew about the button? Everybody knew about the button. Yeah, it was that magic sex button. Matt Lauer. Yeehaw. Republicans allege that the DOJ, imagine this, has a double standard as Mueller's probe takes the heat. Allegations of a anti-Trump bias inside his special counsel Robert Mueller's team are reviving Republicans' claims of a double standard. All the Justice Department with GOP critics saying Hillary Clinton enjoyed comparatively special treatment when she was investigated over her personal email use as Secretary of State. Hillary Clinton gets special justice in the same time we're assisting people who hate the president on him, and that's deeply unfair. Oh, who says this? Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida. Is it Gaetz or Gates? Gaetz of Florida. Okay. And Hillary Clinton gets special justice in the time we're assisting people who hate the president on him, and that's deeply unfair. Gaetz and other House Republicans have asked FBI Director Christopher Wray for an investigation into the FBI's treatment of Clinton and then the candidate Donald Trump in the 2016 election. Gaetz has specifically sought information on former FBI boss Andrew McCabe, saying that in an email last fall that the Clinton case was referred to as special. So these new revelations about members of Mueller's team only fueled those concerns. Special treatment, double standard. Of course, there's a double standard. And who was that told you about James Comey, the Boy Scout, about a special deal that was made months and months, a year before, about the double standard? And also, what did Hillary Clinton, what did Loretta Lynch, what did Obama have up their sleeve to allow Comey this disgrace? What did they have on him, and how did they threaten him to make that deal to let her go? It's just very interesting. It is that double standard. And it's rightly to be pointed out that we have Hillary Rotten Clinton still roaming free around the country, along with Slick Willie, allowed them to get away with heinous actions and crimes, and untold millions of dollars of money that have been given to foreign entities that were meant for charity, by the way. But who cares about any of that? But forget about the emails. Forget about the scandals of wrongdoing and all that other stuff. Do Americans really care? And the truth of the matter is, we do need to care. Because if we don't convict her and people like them, then they'll continue getting away with it. And what good is any public service in Washington, D.C. really mean when they're above the law? They're not above it, folks. And just like all these predators are not above the law and they're getting prosecuted, some seemingly are not, but justice is coming. Justice needs to come for Hillary Clinton. And I'm so glad that this is being kept alive, because if anybody deserves to be behind bars, it's Hillary Rotten Clinton for her actions and the things that she's done to people throughout her life, her husband's life, and how she's been a so-called advocate of women, where there's new revelations now showing that Hillary Clinton knew that Harvey Weinstein actually was raping women. Yes, new revelation showing that she knew about it and she didn't care about it. But it's only expedient when it benefits politics. Then she gives her 2 cents, saying what a slimeball he is. Now I'm distancing myself from him. And as a matter of fact, she distanced herself so far from Harvey Weinstein that she didn't give the money back that he gave her. Of course not. Or how about the blood money that she gets from Middle Eastern countries, that she did because the foundations dried up, that threw gays off roofs and that murdered women. Yeah, if it benefits her and it expedites her into whatever the base is, whatever the talking points of the day are, whatever cue card that she's given to somebody that's giving her the information. Oh, say this. Oh, do this. She's a hack, and she's not for the people by any means. A very interesting story that's helping the U.S. military strike down drone attacks. They're saying Falcons could help the U.S. military strike down the drones, according to a new study. I'm not even kidding. Birds have always fascinated me. We have airplanes and flying devices because of birds. We've always looked to the sky, saw the birds do it, and if the birds could do it, that's where we got our wings from. The U.S. military studying Falcons to learn how to build a killer drone. U.S. military studying Persian Falcons in hope of learning strategies to strike down drone attacks, according to Bloomberg. Under a study funded by the U.S. Air Force, this is really serious here. The U.S. Air Force Zoology Research at Oxford University examined how falcon angle in on when they attack. And the falcon's hunting techniques closely relate to navigation, a guidance system used by visual directed missiles, according to Bloomberg. So miniature video cameras and GPS devices were attached to the birds to study how they attack other birds and prey.